Okay, this is The Decline and Fall of America, formerly known as the Jim Greenfield Show, starring Jim Greenfield. Fighting for truth, justice, the American way, and money. Stuart, why can't I see you and Mark?
Way to go with television production there.
Yeah, I don't see you guys. Aren't I supposed to see you?
You are. There I am. Hello, Jim.
Okay, I see Mark. Okay, I have a special guest today as opposed to an ordinary guest.
That's true.
Mark Levine, who is a lifelong Democrat and an enthusiastic one, a delegate in the Virginia legislature, a graduate of Harvard. Everybody's heard of Harvard, right? Where he was an economics major, and then he went to Yale Law School. So he's one of those Ivy League elitists we always hear about.
Pointy-head intellectuals. Isn't that what you call me? Pointy-head intellectual?
Yeah, but to me that's a compliment, so I don't want to say that.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Okay, so Mark, first of all, the quote of the day: "Courage is the fear of being thought a coward." Horace Smith. Stuart, that's a cue for you. Don't forget your line. Stuart, are you still there? Okay, Stuart.
Yeah, yes, I'm still here.
Okay, so remember, just like on a regular show, when I give you the quote of the day, Horace Smith, you say,
who is Horace Smith?
Horace Smith is the guy who said, "Courage is the fear of being thought a coward." Okay.
And actually, I forgot the thing that plugs in my computer. So I'm going to run while you do a few introductions, just so my computer doesn't die while we're talking. Excuse me. Real quick.
I was ready to go to you, Mark. So far, this show isn't going well. This is Jim Greenfield reminding you that extremism in the defense of extremism is no virtue. And Mark's on for the specific purpose of discussing whether Donald Trump should be impeached. And Mark thinks he should. So what am I going to do? What am I supposed to do with this, Stuart? The guest suddenly disappears.
No, I apologize. I'm back.
Oh, it's okay. You don't need to apologize. So, Mark, I think what we'll try to do here today, maybe, you and I have had many debates over the years. Maybe this can be a debate, but maybe it could be more like a discussion. So maybe it'll be some light as well as heat and be edifying. And we'll listen respectfully to each other's ideas. By the way, just remind you the rules. You're not allowed to interrupt the host. And if you do interrupt, you'll hear the interruption bell. Now, I'm allowed to interrupt you, but not.
Wait, that's one-sided.
Hang on a minute. Let me explain. I know that doesn't sound fair. And I know Democrats are always very interested in fairness. I'm allowed to interrupt you, but only if you're going on too long and making the show boring. Other than that, I'm not allowed to interrupt you either. And I've even on occasion used the interruption bell against myself if I inappropriately interrupt a guest. Okay. So anyway, go ahead. Go ahead and explain why you think Trump should be impeached.
Well, actually, I'd like to really understand your view on a few things before we get to there, because I think that whether the President of the United States should be impeached, convicted, removed from office is a question of fact and law. So I want to start with just some basics, totally apart from Trump. I want to understand where you're coming from. Jim Greenfield, do you think it's okay for the President of the United States to solicit a foreign government to intervene in the United States elections?
It's kind of a loaded question.
Well,
so what are you saying? You're
saying any president.
So you think Obama should have been impeached? Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking you whether you think it's okay. Let's leave aside who's doing it.
Okay, whether it's okay.
Let's try to have a bright standard that applies. You would agree that the same legal standard should apply to any president, regardless of party, I hope.
Well, I'm really happy to hear you say that, because I've heard a lot of commentators over the last several months saying that impeachment is a political process, as if there's no legal issue involved.
Disagree. So you agree with me that?
So we both agree on that it's
okay.
There's a legal standard. In other words, you don't impeach a president because you disagree with his policies.
Absolutely.
Constitution. We both have a copy.
Okay.
You don't impeach a president because you don't like his policies or you don't like his personality. You only impeach him if he commits high crimes and misdemeanors, bribery, or treason.
Correct. So you agree with
okay,
me.
yeah, we got common ground.
Yeah. So the Constitution says, Article 2, Section 4, and I'm happy to read it. So we know where we're starting from, because
Article 2, Section 4.
Article 2, Section 4. The president and others shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors.
Okay,
so this,
good.
you agree, is where the conversation starts,
right?
Correct?
And so therefore, you would agree that there has to be a legal process, due process, just like in any criminal trial.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Due
not
process.
like what the Democrats have been doing in the House for the last 2 months.
What the Democrats have been doing have been the exact same due process that happens in every criminal trial everywhere in the United States. And we can get to that. And I'd be happy to talk about process because I actually don't think that a criminal has a right to march into the police station and steal all their documents prior to indictment. I've just never seen that happen. Maybe you have. Generally, what happens is they investigate in secret, they separate the people, then they indict, and once they indict, then there's discovery and witnesses and all that stuff. But that's a process question. I want to get to the substance first.
Okay, but you would also agree that a president can only be impeached by the House of Representatives, right?
Yes, correct.
And when it says the House of Representatives, does that mean some of the members of the House of Representatives, all of the members of the House of Representatives?
The majority.
A majority. So
right.
In other words, the proceedings up until yesterday, when they had a vote to proceed with an impeachment inquiry, and there was a majority vote to proceed with the impeachment inquiry, all Democrats. Before that, there had been no vote, and therefore the whole process was illegitimate because it hadn't been voted on by a majority.
No, because Congress has an independent right under the Constitution to investigate anything the executive branch does. But before we get to process.
One member of Congress say, I'm launching an impeachment inquiry and start subpoenaing witnesses?
What happens
one
is
member. Could Adam Schiff all by himself do that?
No, this is done through official organs of committees.
A majority vote to do it.
Of a committee. That's how they did it with Nixon. You may recall it never went to the floor.
No,
let's leave aside process and let's get to the crime first, and then I'm happy to discuss process. I'm not afraid of process, but my question for you that you still haven't answered is it okay? And I didn't even get to bribery, extortion yet. I'll get there. But is it okay for the president of the United States to solicit a foreign government, any president? Hey, foreign government, we would like you to intervene in the United States elections.
Well, okay,
is that okay with you?
Okay, it's kind of a vague question, and after I will answer your question, and then you got to let me ask you a return question, reciprocal question. Okay, is it okay? Well, I don't know what okay means.
Is it okay with you?
If you want to ask,
is it impeachable?
If you want to, okay, that's a precise question. Ask whether it's okay gets into moral issues, I think,
I think we have to agree that something.
Well,
at first, I think something has to be wrong. You would agree that nothing is impeachable unless we think it's wrong in some context,
unless it's illegal. Well, in other words, do you think a president should be impeached, say, for getting a blowjob in the White House from an intern?
No,
because that's a moral issue. It's not.
I think it's wrong.
What?
But I think it's wrong.
Okay, we can debate whether it's right or wrong. I mean,
soliciting.
None of us are saints, but I think we would both agree it's not impeachable.
So
right?
Soliciting even
it's a moral question, not a legal question.
Well, but I think you have to first say whether something's wrong before you even get to the question of impeachment. So if something's not wrong, then clearly it's not impeachable. Can we agree on that?
No,
something can be right and still impeachable.
No, I don't think you can base your government on morality. It has to be based on legality.
Okay, you are fine. Okay, you don't want to do that. Fine. Okay.
I mean, is it immoral to jaywalk? No, but it's illegal. Right?
Depending on where you live. Look, let's just address this question. All right. Okay. Do you think it's impeachable? I'll be more specific. Do you think it's impeachable for the president of the United States of either party to bribe a foreign power to intervene in our elections? Is that an impeachable offense? Because this says that bribery is impeachable. So you would agree then that if the president of the United States is trying to bribe a foreign government to intervene in our elections, that would be impeachable, right?
I think the way you're phrasing it is a loaded question. I think the answer would probably be yes, although you have to know the specific facts.
We haven't gotten to the facts yet. I'm just getting the law down.
Okay, as a general principle, I say probably, but there might be extenuating circumstances or facts that might muddy up that question in a real world case.
So as a general principle,
okay,
for the president of the United States to use his formidable power.
When do I get to ask my question back?
Well, I just want to repeat this.
I answered your question, and I said, can I ask you?
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So now, what do you think about a president of the which do you think would be worse? A president of the United States asking a foreign power to intervene in some way in our election?
That's really bad.
Or a president of the United States using the branches of the United States government to interfere in an election in the United States?
Well, I'm not sure.
In other words, we use the IRS, the Justice Department, the FBI, the CIA. Which would be worse?
Any abuse of power is wrong. I do think it's worse when you ask a foreign power to do it.
Okay. See, I think it's worse when you do what Obama did.
I'm unaware of Obama doing anything illegal, unethical.
Obama did it.
I haven't even heard of such an allegation.
You haven't heard of it?
No.
Oh, you never watch Fox News. You just appear on it.
No, I try to watch the legitimate news sources that rely on fact.
So, all right. So I understand. You close out anything you don't agree with.
I watch Fox, but I don't even remember hearing on Fox any allegation that President Obama did anything wrong. But I do think that this is a common Republican conservative talking point. It's called whataboutism. I bring up a real and present crime that the president of the United States is currently committing, and you're like, I hear somewhere that someone said that Obama did something.
No. You didn't hear the part of my question where I said, "Why I can't prove that Obama did this," but
right. But I can prove that Donald Trump did this.
It's quite clear that top level officials in his government, in his administration, were abusing power by going after one of the major party candidates in an election.
Who did this?
Well, we know Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were in a conspiracy to do that because they had emails that prove it.
We don't know that at all. Peter Strzok and Lisa Page
involved in that.
First of all, you've made an unfounded allegation. So let's be clear. There's no foundation.
You asked me, and now I'm answering, and you're interrupting my answer.
Well, you haven't explained.
Okay, I'm naming names. John Brennan.
Okay, not
James
true.
Comey, and Rod.
I can name names too. Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. Why don't you be more specific about what you claim they've done?
I think you'll see the report coming out from the Inspector General in probably the next several days, and then we'll see the Durham investigation, and you'll see that what's been reported on Fox News, but not on the stations you watch, like MSNBC, and CNN. You'll see the facts.
I'm dealing with real actual things that we committed.
We've already had reporters all over Fox News, like Sarah Carter and John Solomon, that have been reporting all of this information.
Do you think Obama was born in Kenya?
I have no idea where he was born. I wasn't.
Do you think that Ted Cruz's father helped kill Kennedy? I mean, these are all Trump suggestions.
It sounds unlikely.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely too. The point is, anyone can allege anything. And what's interesting to me is here we're talking about the most severe corruption the president of the United States has ever committed in American history. Really? All of it is easily provable. And you're trying to talk about some wild notion that may occur.
I'll let you go. That happened in Obama. Wild, Mark. Go ahead. Make your case.
Okay. All right. So we agree, I think, that generally extorting, bribing a foreign government to intervene in our elections is impeachable, right?
I think it like I said, I don't want to make a blanket statement.
Generally, you say.
I'd say it certainly creates a prima facie case.
Okay.
But you have to know the specific facts.
And we will get to the specific facts. All right.
If I could just interject really quick, I will say that the allegations that are fake against Obama sound way worse than the allegations against Trump.
Well, the fake allegations about Hillary Clinton was that at a non-existent basement of a pizza parlor in D.C. that doesn't exist, that she was running a child sex ring. And a guy got so exercised by these fake allegations that he went in and shot it up, and he's now serving a sentence. So please be careful about the wild stuff that people believe in, please.
Mark, let's stipulate that Hillary Clinton was never running a child sex ring. It's one of the few crimes that she never committed.
We can stipulate that she's never done anything close to that. So we agree. Now, should the president be able to use U.S. military aid to a foreign country? All right. In this case, we all know that Ukraine has been invaded by Russia, right? Not only Crimea, but a whole eastern section is occupied by Russian troops that have done some really awful things there. I mean, you can see that, right? You don't have a problem.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, I'm very happy that we finally have a president who's giving military aid to Ukraine so they can fight the Russians, something that your guy, Obama, wouldn't do.
I'm happy that I'm happy. I supported aid to Ukraine under Obama. I supported it under Trump.
Obama gives blankets. Trump gives guns.
Well, Trump, as you know, withheld aid for a long period of time until Zelensky promised to get dirt on Biden and give a statement.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
Well, all we know,
that's an allegation. Like you say, you can make allegations whatever you want.
Okay, so if let's say 5 or 6 Foreign Service officers appointed by Reagan or Bush or some Republican who've worked there for, say, 20 or 30 years, confirm that this allegation is true and there's no contrary evidence, would you be willing to accept it as true?
And with those witnesses who you say did that, right? In secret hearings in the basement of Congress.
So
right?
We know that
you're getting. That's where you're getting this information, right?
So here's what we know.
Congress.
Here's what we know. We know
Did you see them? Did you see the video of them doing this? Of them?
No. I think we will.
Did you see the Republicans cross-examining them?
I know that they did, and we will see that after the indictment comes out.
Lawyer cross-examining them.
That will happen in the Senate trial.
Now,
I'm just asking you that if they. I haven't said it's been proven, Jim, but if it is proven,
it's an allegation. Now, do you believe in the is it the Sixth Amendment, Mark? You tell me. Is it the Sixth Amendment that gives a defendant in a criminal case the right to cross-examine?
Absolutely, and of course these people will
cross-examine confront and cross-examine his accusers,
and that will happen in the Senate trial
process, right? We can agree on that,
and that happens in the Senate trial, and it will happen. But my point is this: if
it happens, do we know what happened?
I'm just trying to. I'm not saying that it happened. I'm saying that if Jim Greenfield, it is proved to you at a later date, because I agree, only 100 members of Congress have examined this, and only 50 Republicans have had the chance to cross-examine. That's only 1/4 of the Republican caucus. It is not the entirety of the American people. It's not Trump yet. That's true. That's why we don't have an indictment/impeachment yet. But if it is proven to you that the President of the United States intentionally withheld military aid for personal political gain, very necessary, we agree, very necessary military aid, would you agree, if it's proven, that that's an impeachable offense?
Not necessarily.
Okay, tell me why. Give me any circumstance.
Look, you're speaking hypothetically, and you're speaking hypothetically about a general allegation without knowing specific facts.
Right. So my question for you is, when would it be justified for the President of the United States to withhold duly appropriated aid by Congress, a full law, Congress voted on, the President signed, it's a law. When would it be justified for the President to withhold that aid in connection with and in a direct quid pro quo with getting personal political benefits? When would that be okay with you?
By the way, it's quod. Quid pro quod.
No, it's not.
I studied Latin. It's the objective case, the object of the preposition.
Definitely the part of the argument you should be arguing, by the way.
It's just kind of been sticking in my craw that everybody's been saying quid pro quo.
All right. I'm using the English term.
Jim, did this just turn into grammar time?
Okay, never mind. Latin
is that what we're doing now?
Grammar. Okay.
Can we move on with the actual discussion?
Harvard and Yale graduate. I want to try to.
Why don't we move on with the actual discussion?
I will look up the objective case of Latin pronouns when we're done. But
I'm trying to impress this Harvard and Yale graduate with my erudition. Okay. What was the question?
Yeah. So the question was.
By the way, Jim, I'm just going to really quickly interject. This is why it's hard to bring people on the show.
I can handle it. It's all right.
I thought you were going to say this is why we don't have any listeners.
My question for you is, if the President of the United States, if Congress passes a statute and the President of the United States decides not to enforce that statute, not because of constitutional reasons, but purely out of personal political motivations. In other words, he wants to win a campaign. So he's saying, I'm not going to obey this statute because I will only obey it. I will only let the money flow if I get a personal political benefit out of it. Can we agree that if a president were to do that, that would be an impeachable offense?
Well, I don't. You're giving me a hypothetical that I don't see even what it has to do with this case.
All right, we can argue whether that's the case.
I remember,
but you agree that's impeachable, right?
Excuse me,
if that were to happen.
I remember being.
You have to answer the question.
Hang on. I remember being an intern at a public interest law firm in Washington in the 1970s, where was liberal lawyers, and they were upset because Nixon was not using funds that had been appropriated for public defenders' offices, and they said, "Well, this was voted by Congress. He has to do it." Well, okay, he didn't appropriate the money. He didn't spend it because he didn't want to. But I guess he thought it was bad politics for him.
Bad
Is that
policy.
impeachable? I know that's not what they impeached him
not
for.
impeachable at all. No, of course not. If you have a policy reason,
I don't know.
That's fine. But how about this? Zelensky said very much to several people, to Gianni, the others, this is what this is opening argument, right? So this is what I believe the testimony will show. I agree. We don't have the witnesses on the stand yet. I agree. We don't have cross-examination. But the opening argument is this is what I intend to prove. And if proven, I want you to know if you'll reach this conclusion.
Can I ask you something? Let me ask you a question. Mark, you've been cross-examining me. Now let me ask you a question.
I still haven't gotten an answer to my question, but
well,
go ahead.
Listen, you're positing facts that are not in evidence.
I have not. I said this is an
hypothetical.
Statement. Do you know how lawyers work?
You're asking me hypothetical questions. I'm not stupid enough to answer hypothetical questions.
Well, I think most Americans. Okay, if the president steals a bunch of money from the American people and sticks it in his pocket, is that worthy of impeachment?
I think that would be a pretty clear-cut case. That's bribery.
Okay. If the president steals taxpayer money, puts it in his pocket, that's impeachment. Good, that's progress. I think we're going to prove that.
You're asserting all of these facts which you believe to be true.
I do believe that to be true.
You're stating it as a hypothetical because you know that there hasn't been any proof yet that they are. The
trial has not commenced yet.
So therefore, let me now ask you a question based on that.
Go right.
Okay. The Democrats in the House, would you agree the Democrats pretty uniformly, maybe a few exceptions, want to impeach Trump? Would you agree to that?
I would agree that the Democrats want to uphold their oath to the Constitution, which requires them to impeach and convict and remove any president on treason, bribery, or other crimes.
I'll take that as a yes.
I think they want to obey their Constitution.
I'll take that.
And
as
I think
the
Republicans do not want to obey the Constitution.
Okay, let's not split here. Let's not equivocate.
The Democrats want to.
Excuse me. We agree the Democrats in the House want to impeach Trump.
We agree that the Democrats want to have an impeachment inquiry. That's what they voted for, to see whether or not the president has committed bribery.
Yeah. Come on, let's not play games, Mark.
I'm not.
Let's not be naive. Let's not pretend here.
Oh, I think the evidence is overwhelming.
The Democrats want to impeach Trump. Even if they don't get him removed from office in the Senate, they want to impeach him because they think that there'll be some political benefit. They want to do it.
Absolutely false. Absolutely false.
All right.
They want to impeach him because the Constitution requires.
Let me get past this.
It's not even good politically.
Let me get past the Constitution. Get to my question. I think anybody watching is going to know that you're being disingenuous.
Not at all. Not at all. Nancy Pelosi opposed it for political reasons, but she recognizes it's the right thing to do for legal reasons. They must uphold their oath. And I've talked with many Democrats about this. They believe their oath is inviolate, that they're required to obey the Constitution.
They're all saints, Mark. They're all saints. None of them are politically motivated. Okay.
Not all.
Yeah, none. How about none?
But politics, I don't think.
Please, you're not letting me get. This
is not about politics.
Can I ask my question now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, even though you're not willing to stipulate to it because you're playing games with me, I
don't play games with the.
I think most people in America recognize that the Democrats are pushing forward, trying to get an impeachment, articles of impeachment against Trump. Oh, hang on. No, I'm not going to let you interrupt. I'm trying to get to a question. Based on that premise, which everybody except you knows is correct, my question is, since they want to move forward with this, you would think that the Democrats would want all of the information that you're asserting without proof. That since they believe that to be true, they would want the public to know about that.
And they will. There's going to be.
Hang on, not done yet. Sorry, it's a long question. They would want the public to know about all the terrible things that Trump did with Ukraine and quid pro quo.
Emoluments. Stealing for his hotel.
On the end of the quote, They would want the public to know about all these, and threatening to withhold the aid and all of the pressure, all the terrible things Trump did.
Yeah.
They would want the public to know about it to help push forward with their impeachment efforts.
Which is why they passed the resolution.
So they can get one person talks at a time. So they can get public support to vote for articles of impeachment against Trump. If that's the case, can you please explain to me why they're holding these hearings in secret so that nobody knows what's going on except what Adam Schiff leaks?
Sure.
Right?
I'm happy to explain
to that.
No, of course not, because we know
don't agree to that.
1/4 of every Republican in the House of Representatives participated in these hearings. These are not Democratic hearings. These are congressional hearings to which 1/4, 100 of the 435 members, almost a fourth, have already been participating. Republicans and Democrats equal time cross-examination.
Secret. Why is it in secret, Mark?
Right. Why? Well, I'm explain why.
Cut to the chase.
I'll be happy to. So when Timothy McVeigh or any major criminal, Charles Manson, right? I guarantee you, every prosecutor wanted Charles Manson's evidence to be laid out before the public so everyone knew what he'd done and why. But in building the case, they didn't go public until they had the indictment. And there's a reason for that. Now, not a single criminal case in the United States of America is the criminal defendant allowed to walk into the police and look at all their files. A clear example, let's say gang activity. Let's say you have 3 gang members. What do? They separate them and they interrogate them separately because otherwise they can listen to each other's stories and copy each other's stories. Once they've built the case, then they indict the person, and then absolutely it's brought before the jury and you have full cross-examination, full due process. That's the way it works in every single criminal trial in the United States.
And in this case here,
and it's already going to be made public within 2 weeks. You're going to see
Mark, in this case, it's not a criminal case. It's not a there's not a prosecuting attorney.
There is
attorney.
The impeachment.
Hang on. There's not a prosecuting attorney.
The House of Representatives. The House of Representatives is the prosecuting attorney.
Exactly. So there's not a single individual who makes that decision whether to proceed with prosecution, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the party who decides whether to proceed with prosecution is the House and Representatives as a whole.
That's correct.
135 members, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
By majority vote. Now, most of the members of the House are not allowed to observe the proceedings.
3/4 are not, 1/4 have. That's correct so far. But they will before they vote for impeachment.
How are the 435, the ones who have not, let's say the 335, you're using the number 100, I don't know. I'll take your word.
It's like 101, but close enough.
Okay. So the other 335, they haven't seen the proceedings.
Yet.
Right? They haven't heard the witnesses.
Yet.
Right? They haven't seen the cross-examination of the witnesses.
Yet.
And by the way, parenthetically, did you know that Republicans are not allowed to call any witnesses? Did you know that?
They will be.
That's what report that on MSNBC.
That was in the resolution on Thursday. So here's the thing: the resolution on Thursday did.
I'm not done. Right. So you got 335 who don't know whether to vote to impeach or not. They don't know nothing.
Not yet.
Okay. So
other than the opening statement
in secret, Mark. Mark, you know why?
We're not done yet.
Give me an honest answer. Why are they doing it in secret?
I told you, so the witnesses can't coordinate their stories.
Nonsense. But, do you know what? Now let me answer.
That's the way Benghazi was done. That's the way. And here's the thing, Jim. You need to know.
I don't think that should have been done.
Here's what you need to know. Between now and the time that impeachment is voted on, which will probably be before Christmas, in that 1 month period, all the depositions will be made public. All the witnesses will be available to all 435 members of the House and the public, and the Republicans will be allowed to call witnesses.
You mean the transcripts will be made public?
Yes.
The transcripts will be made public.
Yes.
Now, do you think a transcript is as good as seeing somebody testifying so you can?
No, there will also be live testimony.
All right, so
it'll be both.
No.
The problem is the problem with the transcript. There were 10-hour depositions per witness.
First of all, I'm going to answer my own question. And everybody listening can judge whether your answer is more plausible or my answer is more plausible. Okay?
Go ahead.
I know you may be shocked to learn that there's politics going on in Washington. But the reason, and everybody who listens to this is going to know I'm telling the truth, the reason the Democrats don't want the testimony to be public is because they haven't got the goods. They don't want it to be public because if the public sees, these witnesses and sees them being cross-examined, hang on, if the public sees the witnesses, sees them being cross-examined, sees the Republicans being allowed to also present witnesses to contradict the Democratic witnesses, if they see all that, they'll know that it's all nonsense, that there's no there. It's absolutely inconceivable, Mark, that Adam Schiff or Nancy Pelosi would want these proceedings to be going on in private if they thought they had a great case against Trump. They'd want everybody in America to know everything about it.
Then, Jim, tell me why the Democrats.
That's obvious.
If what you're saying is correct, then explain to me. If what you're saying is correct,
it is.
Then if it's correct,
go ahead. Then
explain to me why on Thursday, every single Democrat in the House of Representatives who you think is determined to impeach Donald Trump, but also knows they don't have the goods in your wild conspiracy, why did every single one of them vote to make all of this public, which you say they don't want to do, and to allow the Republicans to call witnesses and allow the president and his counsel to be available in a full process? Why would they agree to bring it all out in the open if they don't have the goods? Well, then they must be idiots, right?
No. But why for the last 2 months have they not done that?
I told you why. Because look, if the police arrest 4 gang members, all run the bank together, what do you separate them out? For example, Gordon Sutherland, I think we'll find has lied to Congress. But after he testified, we heard from Morrison, we heard from Vinder, we heard from Taylor, and now Gordon Sutherland is revising his testimony because he's a Trump guy. He gave $1 million to be ambassador, and now because he's afraid of perjury, he's going to back up and change his testimony. But that's why you don't provide all the information at public at once. That's why not a single police chief in this country allows criminal defendants to raid the police house prior to an indictment. After an indictment, absolutely. Full due process.
Well, look, Mark, this is not a criminal case. This is an impeachment.
It's not.
Hello?
It's not.
Hello?
But it's wrong to let them get the story
It's an impeachment of a president of the United States.
Right.
An attempt to remove him from office after he was elected in an election where he was elected by
a minority of the American people. Yes.
No, he wasn't elected. We're not going to get into that little. We're not going to get into that little.
He lost by 3 million votes. The Electoral College says he's in power.
Keep telling me what a constitutionalist you are.
No.
Understand, and I
the Electoral College says he's in power. I'm just pointing out that the American people didn't vote for him.
Okay. I didn't say he was elected by a majority of the vote because that's irrelevant.
It's false.
Mark, can I ask you a question? If we have to go there, I didn't want to go there, but if we have to go there, Mark.
I support abolishing the Electoral College.
Let's suppose that there's a football game and one team has 2,000 yards rushing and the other team only has 1,200 yards rushing.
Under the Constitution as currently written, Donald Trump
Mark,
won the Electoral College.
Interrupting, or else I have to do that, which is very annoying, right?
It is annoying.
Okay. Intentionally. Mark, let me start over. You got a football game.
Just to interject, you just lost half your viewers by continuing to ring the bell. Stop doing it, please.
So you got a football game. One team has 2,000 yards rushing. The other team has 1,200 yards rushing. But the team with 1,200 yards gets more touchdowns.
I've already conceded the Electoral College chooses the president. I'm just pointing out he was a minority president. Keep going.
Those are the rules. That's how we do it. Okay, so I don't
want to change those rules.
I don't want to hear any more whining about how Hillary won the popular vote.
So did Al Gore.
Okay,
keep going.
Doesn't matter. So the point is, you're trying to overthrow the results of an election, which, by the way,
we're trying to use Article 2, Section 4.
Yes, you're trying to overthrow the results of an election.
We're trying to obey the Constitution. I agree. Okay. Keep going.
Now, it's a dangerous thing to do.
It is something that should be done with trepidation and as a last resort.
It's a dangerous thing to be.
No, it's actually a safe thing to do. But it should not be done lightly.
My point is, it's not like a criminal trial. A criminal trial is one guy who committed a crime. When you remove a president of the United States, you're removing the person who was elected by the people of the United States.
By the Electoral College of the United States. Elected by the Electoral College of the United States.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
The point is that the people who voted for the guy, they might not be happy about it. And you don't do it for light reasons.
I agree. You don't do it for light reasons.
You don't do it with an improper process. You don't do it with secret proceedings. It's a political look.
There's not going to be secret
Alexander
proceedings. We've
Hamilton-
already established this. It's all going to be public, Jim. In a month, you'll have nothing to complain about secret proceedings. Well, you might still complain. But the Democrats, and I don't know what, tell me this, Jim, why didn't the Republicans vote to open up the proceedings? If you think secret proceedings are so terrible, why did not a single Republican, other than Justin Amash, who's now an independent, vote to open up the proceedings with the Democrats? The Democrats wanted open proceedings.
Hey, you're a Democrat. You tell me why they finally caved in and opened up the proceedings.
Why didn't the Republicans vote to open up the proceedings?
They haven't fully opened up the proceedings.
They voted to open them up.
You may not be aware because they don't report this on MSNBC, but the Adam Schiff still has veto power over what witnesses are called, and
the chairman of the House,
the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, which is the wrong committee to do this.
But what witnesses are called, just as the Republicans who made that rule in 2015 insisted that that be the rule.
What rule?
The rule that the chairman decides what witnesses are called. That's a Republican rule.
Well, I don't know anything about any Republican Democrat rule. You may be right. I don't know.
They changed it in 2015.
Well, it's irrelevant. The point is, it's
the rules, right?
It's a violation of due process.
No, it's the rules of the House.
Okay, Mark. So you go into a criminal case,
right?
And the prosecutor can call all the witnesses they want, and you can't call any witnesses.
No, the president can call any witnesses they want.
He can't.
Sure, he can.
No,
it's
he
absolutely yes, he can.
Not in these hearings.
The president and his attorney will have the right in the Senate trial. No,
I'm not talking about the Senate trial. We haven't even gotten to a Senate trial yet. In the House, the president can't call witnesses. The Republican members of Congress can't call witnesses.
Sure, they can. It's
by
in
the way,
did
you also know? Did they report on MSNBC that Adam Schiff can stop any question from a Republican if he doesn't like the question?
This is in the
resolution. Did you know that?
Jim?
Answer the question, please.
No, he can't, and he hasn't. Are you aware of a single question that Adam Schiff has not?
So you're saying that Adam Schiff hasn't been keeping the Republicans?
Well, if a Republican tries to
just to be clear, are you saying that Adam Schiff has not been silencing Republicans if they ask questions he doesn't like?
If a Republican asks a question that would violate national security, for example, by outing a spy or by trying to out this whistleblower who cannot be out under U.S. law, if a Republican wants to break criminal law and risk their own imprisonment, Adam Schiff is saying, no, you cannot break the law. But those are very, very rare questions.
And yes, you're acknowledging that Schiff,
I'm acknowledging that Republicans should not be
Republican
our spies.
We agree.
Okay.
So, we agree. He is silencing Republicans. You may have some. You may have what you consider to be a valid.
These are the Intelligence Committee rules, and they've been around for several decades. You cannot out our agents.
You can't gain your way out of losing this conversation. You can try.
Stuart, you're fired.
Gain your way out of it. Great.
You're fired.
I'll hide you, Stuart.
Okay. So the point is, you have just acknowledged that Adam Schiff has been silencing Republicans from asking certain questions.
I wasn't in that hearing.
Hold on. Let me finish the sentence, please. You have acknowledged that he has been silencing certain Republicans' questions, and you think that there's a valid rationale for that, so it's okay.
I don't know that he's.
That's what you said.
No, I don't know that he stopped any questions. I wasn't there, Jim, but I do know that there are Intelligence Committee rules that say that you cannot violate national secrets in the SCIF, the compartmented intelligence.
Why do they have it in the SCIF if they're worried about that? I thought the whole point of having it there so that you can bring out matters involving.
Well, that's correct.
Your national security. That's why it's in secret.
Well, that's correct.
That's true. Okay, so therefore there would be no reason for that, since they're all members of the club. They're all members of the club. We're allowed to discuss national secrets because we're members of Congress, and this is the Intelligence Committee, so it's okay. Okay.
By the way, let me ask you this: is it okay for a Republican or the president to threaten to kill or harm a whistleblower? I hope you'll say no.
Did somebody do that?
Yes, the president of the United States has done that. And
he threatened to kill the whistleblower. The
president of the United States said the whistleblower is a spy, and you know what we used to do with spies, and everybody laughed. What do you think he was saying? Was he saying give them pizza?
And you're telling me that you think that he was threatening to execute the whistleblower?
I think what he was doing was giving a signal to his supporters that if they want to go, if they ever get the name of this whistleblower and they want to go out and it's kind of like Henry II said, well, no one rid me of this troublesome priest. He's telling his supporters,
okay,
hey,
Mark. All right, let's see, Mark. Let's flesh this one out, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You got a criminal prosecution against a mobster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
the mobster wants to know who the witness
hang
is.
on.
Yeah.
Make an analogy here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's a witness who's going to really kill the mobster. Just devastating testimony, right? So the prosecuting attorney says, well, we're going to keep the identity of the witness private, secret. He's not going to actually testify in court. Let's go ahead with the trial now. What is the defense attorney for the mobster going to say?
So what you do is, if you're in that situation, if someone gives a tip off and says, I hear a crime was committed. I didn't see the crime, but I heard people talk about the crime. You then interview the people who talked about the crime. And yes, those are witnesses. But the person who called the tip-off line really isn't relevant if you have witnesses who witnessed the murder. You put them on the stand. But the person who heard third hand by hearsay, who heard that someone—
you just made the Republican argument why this never should have gone forward in the first place.
Now we have
apart from that, you didn't answer my question. Can the prosecuting attorney say, well, we're presenting this witness testimony, what he said out of court, but we're not going to let him be on the stand so that the defendant's attorneys can't cross-examine him. Is that permitted under the Constitution?
You cannot.
Is it permitted?
You cannot convict anyone without having witnesses subject to cross-examination. My question is not right. My question is my question is whether you may threaten a non-witness who gave testimony that led you to— not testimony, because it's not testimony. Someone calls a tip line.
Question, Mark. Question.
Yeah, you're interrupting me, but to be clear,
all right, I'll ring the interruption bell.
But you're interrupting me. All right,
I interrupted the bell. That bell was against me.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just making my point. My point is there's a difference between people who are witnesses to a crime, who absolutely should testify and be cross-examined, and people who call a tip line to say, I heard through the grapevine this crime may have been committed, who aren't direct witnesses to the crime, but merely send the police on. That's why we have anonymous tip line. Anonymous tip lines to call the police if you see a crime.
I think we've agreed the so-called whistleblower who is
irrelevant now.
Hello? Well, Republicans were saying he was irrelevant from the beginning. As soon as
Trump, so why do Republicans want his name?
Hang on a minute.
Why do they want his name?
Hello? As soon as Trump released, Mark, this will go better if you stop interrupting me. I'll try to stop interrupting you, okay? The so-called whistleblower, the Republicans from the very beginning were saying, well, you got to present this guy. You can't keep him anonymous. You can't keep him anonymous. You got to present him and let him testify and let him be cross-examined. As soon as Trump released the memo of the phone call, so we knew we had a transcript of what actually happened.
Partial transcript,
which is the best evidence. Hello,
well, it's not complete yet, but
it's the best evidence of what happened in the phone call
so far.
The so-called whistleblower's third-hand account, because he wasn't even in on the phone.
That's
call.
Right. That's correct.
That's irrelevant.
That's right. I agree.
Right. It's irrelevant. So the Republicans were making that argument. Now, all of a sudden, Adam Schiff started making that argument because he knew that if the whistleblower actually came forward and testified,
he'd be killed.
He'd be cross-examined.
He'd be killed.
He'd be cross-examined, and it would come out that he didn't know anything. That he had nothing to do with the phone call.
Don't you see? That's how.
Now, let me ask you,
happen.
Mark. You believe that Donald Trump threatened to kill the whistleblower? Correct.
I do.
Okay.
I do. But I think he did it the way. I think he did it.
I got a question.
The way he always does these things.
Let me ask the question. Why aren't you impeaching him for that? Now that sounds like a serious crime.
I would impeach him for a lot of things. I would impeach him for stealing hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money to go into his hotels. I would impeach him for the Emoluments Clause violations. I would impeach him for obstruction of justice in several different aspects. I would impeach him for soliciting China, Russia, Italy, and Britain to intervene in our elections. Donald Trump has committed more crimes than all of our presidents put together. But at some point, you have to pick the most severe crime. And that's what I think the Democrats are doing.
And
because it's hard to follow when you have such a criminal, corrupt lawbreaker.
I know.
Doing everything he can. It's easier just to focus on the most severe, easily to prove things.
Okay, so he's committed hundreds of crimes, and the only reason they haven't gone after him before is because the media likes him so much, and they figure it wouldn't go anywhere.
I think that this crime is not only really egregious, but easy to prove.
Mark, let me rephrase my question. Okay, I asked you, why don't you impeach him for threatening to kill the whistleblower?
I think obstruction.
My turn.
I think they will. I think they will.
Would it be okay with you if I finish my sentence at this time?
I think they will.
Okay.
Impeach for obstruction.
I want to rephrase the question. Why, if you've got a serious crime, threatened to murder a witness against him, right? Why wouldn't, and he did it in public. I mean, how stupid can you be to publicly threaten to kill somebody like that? So it's, that he can't even dispute the facts. He has no defense.
Well,
why aren't the Democrats prosecuting him for that instead of this obscure, look, first of all, the public is going to understand, he threatened to kill somebody. Yeah, of course we need to impeach him. But this thing with a phone call and he threatened quid pro quo.
Look, Donald Trump
is very obscure. It's hard to understand. Why aren't the Democrats, if you think that he really seriously threatened to kill this guy, why do you think the Democrats, nobody said a word about that? Why aren't they impeaching him for that?
When King Henry II said of Sir Thomas A. Becket, "Will no one rid me of this troublesome priest?" and 4 of his goons went out and murdered him, Henry II said, I just wanted him to be gone. I did not say kill him. And so that plausible deniability has been used for 1,000 years. And Donald Trump did not say kill him. He said, find out who the whistleblower is, and then we'll announce it to my wonderful, crazy people who support me. And if something happens to him, I said that in my campaign as well.
He should have.
Knock, what do you say? Knock the stuffing out of someone?
Yeah, I think you should have said it about Mueller, don't you?
I think
because Mueller was a much bigger threat to him than this unknown whistleblower. Why didn't he say, "Boy, Mueller is crazy"? We used to do to trade. Why didn't he say that?
The threat to Donald Trump.
And question: did Henry II? Was it Henry II or Henry?
I believe it was Henry II.
Henry II. That was a Shakespeare play, right?
1152, I believe.
Yeah.
1215.
When Henry II allegedly said this in the Shakespeare play, did he say it in front of a large audience of people, or did he just say it to 1 or 2 guys?
He said it to his advisors, and lo and behold, they killed him. Now, this is based on historical thing. We're getting off. Here's what Donald Trump has to worry about.
I didn't mean for you to kill him, right?
Well, that's the old plausible deniability, right? That's why they do that. But here's the thing,
Mark. Come on.
In the Ukraine case,
it's absurd.
Do I think that Donald Trump is trying to shut up witnesses and scare them into not testifying? Absolutely, I do. That's why I think Republicans are trying to find out the whistleblower's name. It's all about intimidating and trying to scare people into not testifying. But the heart of what's going to cause Donald Trump trouble is not these side issues. What's going to cause Donald Trump trouble is the fact that he's using the full force of the American presidency and manipulating foreign policy and stealing hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money, all to get a foreign power to intervene in our election on his behalf. And that is something that I think the vast majority of the American people, including even you, Jim Greenfield, if proven, will not countenance.
So I think your theory that Trump threatened to murder the whistleblower
is no more than Henry II murdering Thomas A. Becket.
The rest of the sentence. I'll start over. I think
no more than let's say a mob leader says to his goons, this guy is a real trouble. He's a real thorn in my side. I wish something would happen to him. And then his goons go out and kill someone.
Mark, let's agree that Henry II. Okay, let's stipulate that Henry II should be impeached. Now let's get back to the case.
Right.
Your theory that Trump threatened to kill the whistleblower, and that's why they kept his identity secret.
That's exactly right.
Is far-fetched. It's on its face. It's palpably far-fetched, and the reality is
why did Trump even talk about
even Adam Schiff has now recognized that the whistleblower. Well, of course,
I agree that we should have the primary witness.
All of a sudden, Adam Schiff came over to the Republican point of view and said, the whistleblower, his testimony is not relevant anymore because we have the transcript of the photo.
Jim.
Hold up. Geez, Mark, you do this every time. You don't let me get two sentences together. Clearly, the reason that Schiff changed his position is because if the whistleblower actually were called as a witness and were subject to cross-examination, the whole thing would fall apart, and everybody would see how bogus it is.
It would be hearsay. It would be
even worse for Adam Schiff. It's since come out. You probably don't know this again because they don't report it on MSNBC and CNN. But this
New York Times, Washington Post, PBS,
so-called whistleblower, you're aware, of course, that there are reports that he used to work for Joe Biden. There are reports that he and this is
there are reports that Hillary Clinton did something.
Hang on, pretty well founded that but before he turned his
who cares?
Before he returned his report over to the Inspector General, he went to Adam Schiff and his committee and
that's what whistleblowers do.
Talk to his staffers.
That's what whistleblowers have always done. Talk to Charles Grassley.
No, that's not the proper procedure.
That is exactly the proper procedure.
No.
I know. I worked with whistleblowers with Senator Charles Grassley, Republican of Iowa. I worked with a whistleblower about a completely different case 20 years ago.
For allowing the middle of my sentence to interfere with the beginning of your sentence. Maybe that'll work.
That is the
Maybe that'll work to get you to stop being so rude and interrupting me.
That's the proper procedure.
Okay. What he did was the so-called whistleblower, what he's supposed to do is go to the Inspector General and say, I've got something that I believe is improper. Instead, he went to the Democrats on Adam Schiff's committee, worked with their staffers in order to write up this whistleblower complaint.
You got your chronology.
They referred him to a Democrat law firm.
You got your chronology wrong.
No, I don't.
Keep going. I'll give you the chronology when you're done.
So Schiff didn't want him to testify because, in fact, if he testified, Schiff himself would have to become a witness.
He wasn't there.
Explain why he was coordinating with this whistleblower before he filed his complaint.
Okay, you made about 15 factual misstatements, but I can let you finish. Are you done?
You can correct 14 of them.
All right, let's correct them. Number one, first he went to his boss. Then his boss directed him to the CIA attorney, and he filed with her. And then he went and she filed with the Inspector General. And then they sat on it because you remember the Inspector General said, do not turn this over to Congress, even though the statute requires it to be turned over for Congress. So when nothing happened, when the Inspector General violated his oath of office and did what no Inspector General in the history of the United States has ever done and withheld a complaint against the rule. So sorry, it wasn't Inspector General. Inspector General did the right thing. It was the head of the Department of Intelligence, the head of intelligence. He sat on the complaint, even though he's required to turn it over to Congress. When he violated his duties under the law, then the whistleblower did what every whistleblower I've ever connected with does. He went to Congress, didn't talk to Adam Schiff, talked to his staff and said, hey, what do we do here? This guy's violating the law. And they said, okay, you go back and we'll make sure he does. At which point Adam Schiff issued a subpoena to the head of the intelligence service, says, we understand that you're breaking the law. What's going on here? And they said, oh, we got caught. And then the Inspector General testified before Adam Schiff that his boss was breaking the law. And that's why Adam Schiff could subpoena and get the transcript that we see today. So if the whistleblower had not gone to Adam Schiff's staff, this would have all been covered up, a la Richard Nixon. What a patriot and a hero that whistleblower is.
Did you notice that I didn't interrupt you even though you went on that long rant?
I stopped. You go ahead.
With your long rant of alternative facts.
Everything is provable.
You know, look. If you and I are going to disagree about what the facts are, and then there's nothing we can do. You can't resolve that in a debate. You got this set of facts. I got that set of facts. I think what you just said is false.
I heard the testimony. Did you not hear the testimony?
No,
the director. No. I'm talking about the public testimony of the director of intelligence who testified, and I watched every word of it, before Adam Schiff and the full committee, Democrats, Republicans, who said that he sat on the complaint. He thought he was right to.
Well, that may be. I did hear that. I'm not talking about that.
That's what I'm talking about.
The part you conveniently left out is the part where he went to the committee before that.
No, he went after that.
Well, okay. That's where we have a different set of facts. We're not going to resolve that here today. Okay. Your facts are wrong, but that's okay. This is still, there's still enough freedom in this country that you're allowed to be wrong.
Jim, we only have a few minutes left.
Oh, did we use a whole hour already?
Almost. But let me just say this. If the facts are shown publicly, and I believe they will be, and I agree they haven't been fully shown yet, if it is shown publicly between now and Christmas that the President of the United States intentionally withheld military aid, intentionally dangled an invitation to the White House in order to get the Ukrainian president, who resisted doing this because he didn't want to intervene in American elections, to force him, under pain of Soviet troops Russian troops in his country, to make up a false investigation about Biden and or follow a conspiracy theory using his private lawyers, Rudy Giuliani, and all these people in the Foreign Service, these dedicated patriots, people with Purple Hearts, all testify that this happened. Then will you be convinced that this president needs to be impeached or removed from office? And I will be quiet now.
Look, this is all fantasy, but let me ask you a question.
You didn't answer my question. If all that is proven, it's not proven yet. If it's all proven, do you agree he needs to be impeached or removed from office? That's all I'm asking.
No, not necessarily. But look, let me, Mark, come on. We've already gone over all this stuff. You got a bunch of hypotheticals. You're asking me to answer.
I think if it's all true,
it's hypothetical. We don't know the facts because you're.
No, that's what you're doing,
Mark.
Jim.
Mark, I'm not going to let you keep interrupting. You got to stop. I've let you speak. You got to let me speak. It's called a debate.
Okay, you didn't answer my question.
Democrats always want to censor points of view you don't agree with. In some cases, by interrupting. The reality is that none of this is known by the public because the Democrats haven't let it be known by the public
yet.
Yeah, they've been doing it in secret, so we're not going to go over that again.
So
I got a parting question for you.
Okay.
Have you always? No, let me put it this way. How long have you wanted to see Trump impeached? When did you start wanting to see impeached? It wasn't with this, right?
No, I wanted him sooner. I would say when he actively called upon the Russians to intervene in our elections, which was actually during the election. So I guess I can't impeach him for that because it was done before.
So this isn't new. So in other words,
I would say when he started stealing money,
you believe Trump colluded with the Russians in the election, right?
I believe that Donald Trump asked the Russians to intervene, and they tried to do so.
Okay. They also, so you don't believe the Mueller report then?
Oh, I do. I believe the Mueller report.
Well, but the Mueller report found that there was no collusion.
That's not what the Mueller report found. You need to read it, Jim. What it found is that
you're going to tell me you read the Mueller report?
I did.
Amazing. Well, anyway, Mark.
400 and some odd pages.
Well, I'm sorry. I saw Mueller's testimony before Congress. And
just read the excerpts. Yeah, just read the not the excerpts. Synopsis.
This is nonsense. The reason I asked you that question, Mark, is because the day after the election in 2016, there were Democrats who were already saying we need to impeach him.
I didn't say the day after the election.
He hadn't even assumed office yet.
Yeah, I didn't say it.
What?
I did not.
You're telling me that back in 2016, you'd already made up your mind.
I'm telling you that 2016, I think it's improper of a presidential candidate.
They have tried one narrative after another. First, they were claiming Russian collusion, and that didn't work because the Mueller report didn't support it.
Why were all those Russians indicted?
Hang on. Let me. Once again, I would like the opportunity at this time to finish my sentence.
Go ahead.
In fact, I'd like to be able to string 3 or 4 sentences together.
You got it.
Okay. I know it's hard to hear things you don't agree with, and you feel like you need to silence me, but I'm going to finish. So, they start with he colluded with the Russians. He's working for Putin. He colluded with the Russians. He's working for Putin. Now, the fact that Trump took much stronger stands against Putin than Obama did.
That's why he
didn't interfere with the narrative. Well, let me make that case, okay? Unlike Obama, Trump did provide military aid to Ukraine to fight the Russians.
Yep.
Unlike Obama, Trump tried to get the Germans and the Europeans to start buying their natural gas and oil from America instead of from Russia. Unlike Obama, Trump demanded that the European members of NATO start paying up their fair share of the military defense against Russia. Unlike Obama, Trump went against Putin's ally, Iran.
This is a separate argument. We
So
talk about the
every
secret,
case,
the secret
Trump,
agent that
in every
amassed
case,
to Russia.
Trump's conduct of foreign policy proved that he wasn't Putin's boy.
Actually, he is Putin's puppet.
He was
boy.
very
Any
strong
president of
against
the United
Putin.
States has ever been.
So I'll tell you what.
It's a separate argument.
If Putin,
He gave the entire Middle East to Putin, and
had to deal with, if Putin had to deal with Trump, if Putin had to deal with Trump, I'll help you win the election, and then you help me out once you're in office. Trump stiffed him, which I don't think.
Gave him the entire Middle East. I think that's a nice gift.
What is that?
Giving Putin the entire Middle East, except Israel. I think that's a nice gift.
You know what?
Syria, Lebanon.
I'll give you Syria. I'll give you Syria, Mark.
Thank you.
I don't like Trump's Syria policy, and you're right. He's let Putin have free reign in Syria. So you're right about that. Right. So I'll give you that. But first of all, the Democrats come out with.
And I'm going to give you something.
It's Russian.
I'm going to give you something. Can I give you something?
Hello? It's Russian collusion. Then it's obstruction of justice, and then it's the 25th Amendment. We have to remove him from office because he's mentally ill.
I haven't made that argument.
And we got to get him out because of Stormy Daniels. And
well, the thing about Stormy Daniels is a violation of election campaign.
Yeah.
Well, it's worse than anything Clinton did.
Daniels,
I agree. Ukraine is the worst.
What else? Then we got this one.
How about emoluments? How about the fact that he's grabbing taxpayer money?
They haven't stopped from day one trying to find a reason to impeach this president. And your colleague Al Green, member of Congress, actually admitted.
Nobody takes Al Green seriously. No Republican or Democrat takes
Al Green on television admitted that the reason they had to impeach Trump is because they can't beat him in 2020.
Well, that's ridiculous because I actually think Nancy Pelosi resisted impeachment because she recognized there are political dangers until the amount of corruption was so obvious that even Nancy Pelosi
being such a person of high principles, was willing to sacrifice her power and give up her majority in Congress
in order to do the right thing
because she's so committed to the Constitution.
That's correct.
That's your narrative.
That is correct.
Yeah. And you think anybody?
Why do you think she opposed it for so long? Politically,
political reasons.
No, she opposed it for political reasons.
That's what I just said.
Right. But now she recognizes that his crimes are so severe and so easily provable that she has no choice but to follow the Constitution. Remove this.
No,
I think our hour is up. I'm happy to keep going a little bit more.
Well, just for a couple of minutes. All right. I'm going to lose my voice if we keep going. But let me tell you something that's going to surprise you, Mark. After this hour.
Okay.
First of all, I didn't vote for Trump.
I'm glad to hear that you have a rational bone in your mind.
I didn't vote for Trump. I was a Ted Cruz guy. I didn't vote for Trump. My evaluation of his presidency is that it's a mixed bag. I think he's done some good things. I also think he's done some bad things. I don't mean bad morally. I mean not good policy. Okay, so I'm not like jumping up and down. Oh, I'm not a Trumpanista. Okay, I hate and fear the Democrats.
Why?
A couple of reasons. First of all, I think that if the Democrats take total power, being driven by the extreme left-wing base of the party, the Cortezes and Ilhan Omar's and they
don't run the party. They have no leadership role in the party. They run the party as much as you're Nazi guy.
I'm afraid of the woke movement. I'm afraid that people like me will be silenced. I already hear so many of the left-wing extremists talking about how white heterosexual old guys are oppressors and oppress everybody else. I know what that means. If they start talking that way about you, they vilify you. You got a target on your back. So I expect them to.
You're afraid there's going to be a riot and white straight males are going to be all killed? Is that really your fear? I understand your fear.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I think it'd be a good fight. I mean,
wait. Do you think it's going to happen? You think there's going to be this race war? Is that what you think? I'm trying to understand your point of view here because
It's true. We may be old, but we are armed.
So you think there's going to be a race war?
No, I'm not saying there's going to be a race war. I think we could have a civil war.
Why?
Well, what do you think is going to happen, Mark? You got Donald Trump's got 40% base that really loves him.
Uh-huh. Are they going to take up arms against their fellow Americans? Is that what
do you think would happen? What do you think will happen if you got in the unlikely event that you succeed? And
then I think Mike Pence becomes president, and everyone says the Constitution was followed.
Yeah, well, maybe they can get Nancy Pelosi in as president. But the point is, what do you think his followers will do? You think they love Mike Pence the way they love Trump? What do you think his followers will do? And I don't count myself in this number. I'm just asking the question. What do you think his followers will do if you actually succeed in when I ran for office, in your insidious attempt to remove him?
I took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah.
I will never be dissuaded by the threat of violence.
I'll never be
following my oath. If you're saying that a bunch of Trumpists will start killing people if we follow the Constitution, then we need to lock them up, because violence is never the answer. And I hope you agree with me on that.
Well, you say they're going to start killing people.
That's what you're threatening. Isn't it that what you're threatening?
Look, I'm telling you, Mark, I'm talking about reality here. Okay. I don't want
if people start killing people, we need to lock them up.
I'm not, you get off your high horse. I'm talking about the way things work in the real world. You look at countries where these kinds of things have happened, where a popular a president who's popular with a certain segment of population is taken out by an opposition group. That's how civil wars start.
If he's taken out, Jim, it will be because at least 20 Republicans in the Senate joined 47 Democrats in the Senate to say that the president is guilty of bribery, treason, or high crime misdemeanors. And if some lunatic can't accept that and starts killing people, we need to lock up that lunatic.
Yeah, okay, that's fine, Mark.
Because violence
do you think that's going to happen?
We use the Constitution.
Do you think you're going to get 20 Republicans to vote to remove Trump?
No, you haven't seen the evidence yet, Jim, have you? Why don't we have an open mind?
So you think that might happen?
Yes, I do.
Well, good luck.
It might. Let's see if the Republicans are willing to put their
and what about and you're not
ahead of their personal political.
Have you noticed something that the notwithstanding the onslaught of anti-Trump media for the last 2.5 years? Notwithstanding the onslaught of anti-Trump media, that there's a large segment of the population, maybe it's 40%, 42% Trump supporters, don't believe anything that the Democrats or the media say. They don't. Totally lost credibility.
That's scary. And George Orwell warned us that some people might love Big
George
Brother.
Orwell. You want to talk to me about George Orwell?
Very scary that people.
Hey, Mark, just before we go, let me ask you a question.
Peace and freedom of slavery.
Mark, I'm so happy that you've become a constitutionalist.
I have been a constitutionalist all my life, sir.
Yeah. Well, you know, the entire 2/3 of the federal government is unconstitutional. So I don't know how you feel about that, but
I don't know what you're talking about. But we can move
exactly. On. But how do you feel about how do you feel about the campus woke political correctness movement that doesn't allow conservatives to express their ideas on campus? Are you in favor of that?
I believe in free speech. So
you don't support that?
Well, you're going to have to be more specific. Okay. If someone, for example, if someone is harassing an individual and making up lies about them, libel and slander are prohibited under our laws, despite the First Amendment. So,
well, like, do you think
you can't shout fire in a crowded theater? You can't say "go out and kill that person."
Yeah,
so there are limits. But other than that,
do you think Ann Coulter should be allowed to speak on college campuses?
If Ann is invited by some group to speak on college campus, that group can invite her, sure.
And you don't believe that, you don't agree with Antifa, who goes and shuts these people down with rioting and violence and threats of violence?
I do not.
You don't support that, right?
And I do not. Not only do I not support violence, I don't support shouting down a speaker. I think the best way to respond to speeches.
So there's hope for you, Mark. There's hope for you. And on that harmonious note, I think it's a good place to end. This is the triumphant return of Jim Greenfield, the decline and fall of America. Thank you to my guest, Mark Levine, not to be confused with Mark Levine.
Not at all. The second E stands for empathy, which Mark Levine lacks. Thank you, Jim, for having me on the show.
That was fun. You got to have me on your show next. Never mind.
I might do that.
Okay, how do we end this, Stuart?
I think we just hit stop.